At the 4-3 to start out with. I mean, you got their base defense, a new look with Jeff Hadley. You can see two linebackers in the box here. Switching gaps. So first play of the game on defense, what they're going to do is remember there's gap responsibilities for every player. So on the front side, as you look from the our left of the center's right, our left. Right now, it looks like the defensive tackle's got the A gap covered, the defensive end, Amari's got the C gap covered, and then the linebacker you assume has B gap unless the safety's coming in. But they're going to switch gap responsibilities here. Amari's going to take the B. We're going to loop out on the A gap, and then and loop out to the C gap in the defensive tackle, and that leaves our linebacker in on the A gap. 59 does a good job here of not jumping around things. He just kind of swoops around, gets great block protection. Because of Enikbari's good job of penetrating into that B gap from the defensive end spot, it makes the running back jump in the backfield. And that's something we always talk about. If the running back has to make a jump cut in the backfield and stop his momentum, you're usually going to be a lot better off. 59 does a great job of jumping around the center, getting on this play. I mean, ultimately, the defensive tackle comes around and loops out and makes the play, and that's kind of the point of the system. That's one of the things I think you'll see a lot more with a penetrating style 4-3 defense. You are allowed to switch gaps more. Guys are, generally speaking, they're just a little bit closer together, right? But it's more of a philosophy of how you play, because more often than not, you have a safety or you have a linebacker coming in to kind of clean up the trash. So if you can, some of the ideas of philosophy-wise is we want to stop the running back. We want to stop his momentum, 2 yards before the line of scrimmage. If we can do that, we feel real comfortable and confident that we're going to find success. You see the full screen here on this next play, I think. Yep. Okay, so we back up into like a cover 2. And you see how deep the safeties start. And there's a couple of things that are going on here. So when you go to a 2-high defense, every snap that you see in this game, they're like 15 yards back. I mean, they're really far. And I remember Xavier McKinney when he was at the Giants, we said the same thing. So I'm sure it's a Hafley thing, but if we're thinking about who's going to be back there full time, that's certainly something that Xavier's comfortable with. And then whoever ends up playing on the other side of him. With a lot of this stuff, when you're running that 2, you got to have that corner on, be a great run support guy. The problem with cover 2 now is because of the blind spots in the coverage, as far as where the quarterback can attack in the passing game, which is the sideline just behind the corner and to the side of the safety. The safeties play a lot of what we just call like drop coverage, and they fade back unless they see somebody coming into the flat. The problem with that is, as we'll see in a couple of situations here, I don't know if they're as comfortable and confident in the run game as they should be. You see up top, when we watch this play, I mean, this is exactly how you draw this run play up if you're the Denver Broncos. The corner goes upfield, and I think he's trying to stop the running back from going outside, but it's like you're penetrating yourself out of the play. Everybody else is covered up except for my man in the hole. He does a great job of defeating his block, knocking the guy flat on his ass and then making the tackle, but they still just get a pretty good gain out of this. But if you watch it from this side, so we've got a little bit of congestion, I think, from at the linebacker level. I think Wilson's the one outside. 59 does a good job here. 45, we're not going to see him, but this is how the Denver Broncos draw it up. You got everybody on the Denver Broncos has outside leverage on their man. We're a little bit slow to read this play. Is it because as we go back, is it because, we got back offset? So usually you're thinking you're running the zone to our right, their left, or they're going to run some sort of gap scheme here where they're going to come downhill. But, to run the quick toss out of here, you would think they're prepared for this, but it looks like they were a little slow in the uptake. Tight end easily gets Enikbari here, which just, cannot happen. 59 gets pushed. And really the only guy that makes a great play is, I think that's Eric Wilson, 45, coming off the receiver who's trying to crack on him, knocks him flat on his ass, and ends up getting on this tackle. But we drag, and again, we start talking about, how do we prevent these plays, what we think are going to be 1 and 2 yard gains? from getting to be 6 to 7 yard gains. So look at personnel here. We're in, it looks like we're in 21 or 22 personnel. I can't see if that's a tight end who just went in motion. But think about your zone rules now. If you're running like a cover 3, some sort of single high here, I'll go back and show you. So this is a really common zone beater with a single high safety. So they're going to come through. We're going to go play action. We ran this a ton. Running back in the flat. We're going to have a clear. We're going to have a dig across the middle. And then we're going to have the backside tight end like Mark Shimura really come across in the flat. And if it's zone, he's going to sit down. So the responsibility of the linebacker, obviously they have to be able to see that this is not a running play. But then your eyes immediately have to go on a swivel and figure out, am I attacking the crosser? If I'm play side here, do I have to get to my hook curl? And we're not doing a great job here after we realize it's not a running play of disrupting the route by the tight end. Does a good job. This tight end does a good job of just coming in and sitting down. I think we're good on the back end of the coverage here. But, again, it's a 7-8 yard play. And remember, as we're watching this, these are vanilla plays so far. We're not game planning this game. The Broncos are probably not game planning this game. So you're kind of seeing vanilla on vanilla, but I'm trying to show you some of these route trees and show you some of these formations and tendencies in the run game, because this is stuff that even if you're not game planning, depending on your age and experience, you've probably seen this hundreds, if not thousands of times. So the question is, how do you read this? Like, what if you're 59? Where are your eyes? So one of the ways to make a triangle between the play side guard, the center, the quarterback, and the running back, or the person deepest. Excuse me. Another way is to find the open lineman and see what he does on his first step. So we talked about last week with Fred Warner and how he plays kind of flat-footed defense, doesn't move until he's sure, and then he goes as fast as he can. This is a little bit jumpy up, and now we're on our heels. We kind of give running lanes to all those guys in the crosser. Now he sees it. We have to sit down, gets in on the play, but again, it's just not clean. One of the reasons it's not clean is it's just having eye discipline, understanding where your reads and keys are, not being too jumpy on the play action. And if you are jumping on the play action, immediately get your head crossed. So you're either running back to your hook curl, or if your responsibility is to see that crosser coming in from the backside, make sure your eyes are there. We motion back in the back, got a 3-by-1. Across the middle, kind of short pickup, 4-yard gain. That's fine. Good job by Wilson making the tackle. All quick rushes. You'll see Bo Nixon here. I thought they did a good job with Bo for the most part of just getting the ball out of his hands. You watch our first round draft pick from last year. Just think about where is the threat. That is obviously a not a good fundamental pass set pass set from the left tackle. Feet click together, hands are outside. So he kind of has what he wants from the standpoint of you can go right down the middle and figure out what you want to do. So you attack, but you don't attack with hands inside. You still let the guy, even though his hands were out here, you don't get your hands inside, so you don't control the play. And you're trying to work this move upfield. So you've gone into him, you go upfield, you try to rip underneath. But the truth is, you're not going to get around that corner because that's not the way the guy's set. So you need to make a decision when you see a guy who's a heel clicker, who's a turner, like, is that what we're trying to accomplish? And if I am trying to go around the corner, do I want to touch him that early in the set? Attacking zones again. So we have a clear out, and we're going to bring the backside guy for the deep cross, and then we're going to bring the inside guy for the shot across. So obviously, as you're looking at this, and we're not game planning, okay, but as you look at the route combinations and you look at the formation, when you've got two guys tight to the tackle, they're either going to run crossers or they're going to run to the flat immediately and then have a deep corner. I mean, they can run more stuff, but you start looking at tendencies across the league. Like, why would you put a guy in that tight? Well, You either want, if you're Sean McVay, you want to eat up the space to the left here, the offense's left, or you want to get him across the formation as fast as possible and start threatening those safety zones. So again, we're under center. I think, for me, this is the best way to play football in terms of you're giving guys a ton of different looks from a defensive standpoint. We got the fake toss boot underneath. He's really got two guys open here, and you're just reading off the linebacker. So we got the fake toss, and you just have to realize as a rule in the defense, how are you guys going to run this? If you guys are running with the end crashing, the linebacker has to take care of the boot. That's one thing. It looks like in this situation, the defensive end is responsible for it. He's just a little bit slow in the uptake. You see that good fake from Bo Nix, who's like a 27-year-old rookie, gets outside, makes a good throw here. And really, you're just reading Eric Wilson. Eric can't be right here. There's two guys he has to cover. Good job making a play. So we're showing cover 4 on this next play. I can't remember this isn't the touchdown. So we're showing cover 4 in the next play on the high side of the field. So why I say cover 4? Well, because you've got the safety and the corner lined up together. You're assuming those guys are kind of playing, two sides of the zone, and you see the safety on the far side all the way over near their hash. That's represented. He's playing like we're playing like a quarter half going left to right. Okay, so you're showing cover 4 over there, and you're showing a cover 2 over here with outside leverage on the corner down here. The corner's going to play bail coverage, right? And we already saw him play, kind of a bail coverage in the first week. And we've been kind of talking about already in this game. There's some issues now, not with the Packers, but just in general with cover 2, trying to cover that sideline pass that's between the cover 2 corner and the safety, who's on the hash mark right now. And so what happens is when these guys start playing bail, because really he's playing bail with his eyes going to the inside slot. The inside slot doesn't go to the flat. He's going to keep going until he sees that running back a little bit late. And now we've got, really a one-on-one. If guys block up like they should and just cover up these guys like the Broncos are, you got a one-on-one with this linebacker where you got a lot of room to run. So this is a kind of a real problem, I think, or opportunity for improvement with the cover 2. And this is a good way to attack it from an offensive standpoint. This is kind of like they dialed up the right play in the right situation, knowing that cover 2 corner is probably going to bail. And see, from the pass rush standpoint, our man here, Brown, has a good rush, okay, but just doesn't have any time. They're getting rid of this ball right quick. And again, I think Sean Payton, he's known for throwing the quick pass. Drew Brees did a great job getting rid of the ball when you have his time with the Saints. So you start, last year, the time with Russell Wilson, who, wants to hold the ball, wants to cook and all that stuff. You're not going to see that anymore from this team. They're going to be a lot more on the quick decisions, get up to the line of scrimmage, make the right calls, execute as fast as possible. This could be a much improved team, quite frankly, from last year. So this is kind of the dangers of playing a penetrating defense, and I'll show you what I mean. So you look at the backside guy here. We've got an A block between the center and the left guard, and the left guard gets all the way over, and so he tries to swim over the backside and get in and try to penetrate on the backside of the A gap and get to the running back high side. Instead of pressing that hole, he could actually push the lineman into the hole and be sitting in the position where the running back cuts into right now. Now, the glory play is to swim backside and make that tackle for loss. But if you don't make the glory play, then now you give a 5-6 yard game, potentially more. We did a good job on the back end covering this up. You can see it from this perspective. So we got Carl Brown with his right foot back, and he's going to take that first step, go back around that A gap. I'll show you on the play side a great job here of, against their starting offensive line, pressing, staying square, ripping off, getting in and making the play. That's a fantastic job. That's a fantastic job. This is, in my opinion, kind of the bread and butter of a defensive tackle in the National Football League right now, because every team runs some form of zone where they're going to make that cut off the inside hip of the tackle, outside hip of the guard, whatever you want to call it. And so he could very easily be the read more often than not. And the ability to stay square and not feel pressure to get outside leverage on this, but just be able to stay kind of, I call it nose to outside eye, and then shed the block and come back in, make the play, is a great thing. Let's look back at that backside player here. Go backside here, and we're thinking that we're going to be able to get there because he is quick. But the truth is, you could just press this hole, and now it goes from being a gain to a lot, or a play for no loss at the line of scrimmage. Let's watch backside at 59. The center comes off, does a good job of getting in. He actually gets held here. I don't know if they called that. Could have easily called a hold here if they didn't. Good job avoiding the block. Okay. So this is the touchdown, and I think it's debatable whether or not he was over the line of scrimmage or not. That's not really the point. These are the difficulties of rushing a specific way. So let me show it again. So when we have multiple players all kind of flying past him in high side, and I do understand that we it looks like we almost missed him in the hole, but there's nobody that's actually collapsing the pocket here. Everybody's trying to run around corners and getting higher than the quarterback, and that leaves room to run for athletic quarterbacks like Bo Nix. That's something that we talked about at length last year, and you really have to figure out what kind of defense you want to be and what kind of pass rush plan you're going to have. Everybody wants to run around the corner because they think they're going to get that sack fumble, but the truth is, the more pressures you create, especially with young quarterbacks, the more times they're going to put the ball on the ground, the more times they're going to throw the ball to your team, pick sixes, all that kind of stuff. Pressure equals picks, right? Now, as he escapes, we look at this, and the corner's in a really bad spot. He's in no man's land. What do I do? Now, some defensive coordinators will just tell you, like, you got to stick with your guy because if you come up, he's going to end up making the play. But then you're really leaving with the linebacker and the safety trying to make the play on the quarterback here, and he could run. I mean, hypothetically, he could run for 10, 15 yards before he gets touched. He might be able to walk into the end zone. Maybe he has to make this safety play on the goal line. And so you don't really know what they're teaching here, but certainly the corner is just put in a really bad situation. If it's me, I'm probably telling the corner, stick with your guy and have the safety or linebacker have to make that play until he crosses the line of scrimmage. But it's such a bang play, and what happens? I think it's really difficult for these guys to do that in real time. I think I just showed one or two plays here from the next series. So I think this is the toss. So they motion across. They're back in 21. This is a run priority. So you got a first down look, 21 personnel, fullback in the backfield. You see a ton of teams going to this. They motion over to twins. Okay, so they're twin right. They do a toss with the fullback going split flow. So the fullback goes backside and takes on the linebacker on the strong side where the tight end was. We toss it to the offense's left, our defense's right. And you just see we kind of get ran over here. And what do we have to do to get better? And again, this is not all your first team players. But we've got a bunch of guys over here. We got 90 and 94. Nobody's got hands on. So everyone's kind of out of the way. You've got the fullback button up on 59. We've got great leverage block from the right tackle, great leverage block from the right guard, or the left guard, the left tackle. This is a designed play to go downhill or cut back. And you see this, ace block, whatever you want to call it, between the left guard and the center, and they're pushing him back into 44, which makes 44's job incredibly difficult. So this running back has a great, opportunity to kind of read two holes. And, ultimately, who's going to have to make this play if it works out like this? The safety, and that's going to be 7, 8 yards deep. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys is, we talked about the cover 2 look. So he's got outside leverage, and this is just too easy. This should be a play historically when you're running a true cover 2 with the way they used to run it. And I understand why they can't. The quarterbacks and the receivers are too good at throwing the, kind of that soft 7 route now where that sail 7 when you're out at the sideline at 15 yards behind that corner in front and on the side of that safety. But you get back to a cover 2. You see that everyone's playing outside leverage, and there's nothing out here, so the corner just keeps bailing. And because he keeps bailing, there's literally nobody to try to take this running back. Our linebackers have dropped deep. Nobody's kind of, it's like almost they forgot that the running back could receive the ball. And so when this guy catches the ball, you've got 10 yards to the corner. You've got 3, let's say 950 pounds conservatively running downhill. And you've got your linebackers that are 15 yards away at the closest. So, problem. Just a real problem. So before we get on, it's like, again, what do you take from that information? What do you take from the tape? Broncos came in with a very simple game plan without maybe us game planning. It's just kind of good on good. Obviously, their ones are going to be better than your twos. You don't see a lot of missed tackles there. You don't see a lot of. I don't think you see a lot of. You might see some like scheme design flaws in what we talked about with the cover two, but that's kind of universal. It's like you have to kind of game plan this stuff a little bit more to understand when you're going to bail and when you're not. So I don't see a lot of errors from maybe from a fit standpoint in the run game, but you don't see a lot of errors, like mental errors that are happening. So you've cut down the mental errors, you've cut down the missed tackles already. So I actually think even though that didn't look very good, there's some positives you can take out of it. Okay.